Welcome to part two of our two-part series here on helping us rock and metal musicians actually make some income from our music. And not only that, but how to create these other new streams of income from other sources. And in episode one, if you caught that, we talked about how to use YouTube for these purposes. In this part two here, we're going to get into Facebook ads on driving your income up, and again, helping you get that income stream from multiple sources. Now, just some context if you don't know who I am. My name is Jason Stallworth. I am the co-founder and co-owner here of Metal Mastermind with Ken Candelas. This is your community and your education platform for all rock and metal musicians. Now, Ken Candelas is also an instructor at the SAE Institute, and he invited me in to talk to his class about this topic here. So we're going to get right to it. What I want to encourage you to do, though, is break out a notepad and take some notes during this session.
It's a different sort of headspace when trying to run an advertisement versus trying to create content. Isn't that right?
It's extremely different. And because when you're creating content on, let's say on YouTube for someone, again, you're creating, to solve a problem or to provide that entertainment. When you're creating an ad, you're having to break their attention. See, YouTube, people are searching for that. Or if they're a subscriber, then they're wanting your content. They subscribe to your channel, so they want to see more. An ad, how many, raise your hand if you get like just irritated with some ads sometimes. Or all the time. See, I get irritated with them. So you're really having to break their attention in a creative way. And Ken, you and I learned, and Ken's probably told you guys about the ADA formula. Grabbing their attention first. You have to have something very compelling to grab their attention. Then you grab their interest, then desire, then a call to action. And you could just narrow it down to just getting their attention with that kind of a shocking statement, and then you can talk about their problem that they might be having, agitate that a little bit, and then offer the solution before they get too agitated. So there's several different formulas. There is a book by Jim Edwards. It's called Copywriting Secrets. I would encourage everyone to buy that book. It's called Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. I have referred back to that book so many times and still do. Sometimes these books are magical because they speak to you a little bit differently every time you read them. But yeah, again, it's Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. He's affiliated with Russell Brunson, who is a renowned marketer. He's the creator of ClickFunnels, which I don't use ClickFunnels, but I still have a lot of Russell Brunson's books. Books are kind of like, I'm always not looking for the entire book to solve a problem, but there might be one or two, maybe three gold nuggets in there that really just move my business forward. So that's what I'm always looking for. But the Copywriting Secrets book, again, his copywriting formula he has and how he goes through that is really helped me tremendously. So, but yeah, with ads is much different. You had to put on a different hat when you're running ads. Let's go to, I'm going to try to find now, I'm running a test right now, guys. So I shut off all ads. Ken, we talked about this today. I shut off my ads this month because I wanted to see how well my content would do just based on YouTube, my call to action on YouTube to get people to buy my courses. So I'm testing February with no ads. What I do is I put dates by my campaigns. Like this campaign was running for a long time. Let me just go back to January. And I'll kind of do a deep dive here with the ad. Okay. So you can see this top ad was running at one time here. My budget was $12 a day. In ads with especially with like Facebook ads. So you can see I had a result. This is an opt-in ad I was running. Remember the guitar page I showed you guys? And let's see if I still have that up. I don't think I do. Remember the page that you opt in on, the guitar page? Hey, you get this free guide. That's where this ad takes people, and I can show you that again real quick. So during January, I did January 1st to January 31st. I had 615 opt-ins. That's a lot of people coming into my email funnel. I had gotten my cost down to 57 cents per opt-in, which is really, really good. I spent $350 that month. Who wants to spend $350 this month on ad spend? Nobody's raising their hand. But so the reason I'm doing a test February, because I've been spending anywhere from 3 to 5, and I've spent thousand, probably never over 1,000, but I've spent up to that testing ads. With ads, you do want to test, but I'm testing not ads this month. I'll probably go back to them next month once I run the data, but I want to see what my sales are with no ads compared to what they were on average the past 12 months, and I'll make decisions off that. Always make decisions based on data, guys. Never make them on your emotions or what you think is working. Look at the data, let that tell you the story. And I say that to you guys out of the fact that we're musicians. We are artists, and we do tend to have a little bit more of an emotional side to us, and that's a gift. I think that's a gift. But when it comes to this stuff, you really want to dig into the data, and a lot of times the data will conflict with your emotions. So don't let that get to you. You're like, man, this ad is good. Why is it not working? Stupid Facebook. But hey, again, you have to look at the data. What is the data telling you? Does the data say it's working, or is it not working? So, Ken, do you want to look at the ad real quick to show them? Okay.
Yeah, let's actually go through some of this categorical, because we're looking at the campaign section.
Yeah,
So,
this is the campaign. Yep.
so maybe you want to give a little rundown of what each tab explains.
Sure. So we've got 3 tabs up here. Your campaign. We've got the ad set for that campaign, and then we've got the actual ad for the campaign. In my opinion, we could just do this all in 2 things, but they want you to do it in 3 tabs. So the campaign is just that. Is just the campaign. So if I go to edit here, this is how I create my campaign. I always call the campaign, like, what's the purpose? Is it sales or is it opt-in? It's always one of the 2 for me. You could do a branding ad like Ken and I are doing now. I had this ad running since September. I change ads often, because if you have the same one running, it will kind of run out of gas, if that makes sense. So you do have to kind of keep fresh content up. But I kept this running since September because it was working. I was getting less than $1 per opt-in. And we'll need to talk about briefly, Ken, what to do with those opt-ins, because you don't want to just get people opting into your email just for the sake of having a big email list if you don't have anything to sell them or any way to make revenue. So this is a leads campaign. My goal here wasn't sales, and there's different types of goals you can have. It was to get opt-ins. Now, if we go over to, let me get out of this and go back to the main page, because this can get a little confusing. If we go to the ad set, okay, for that campaign, the ad set is where you start digging into your audience. Who do I want to market to? You can see here, I segregated my audience. Big 4, for the metalheads out there, Big 4, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax. But Big 4 in our case are the big countries, the big ones that buy, that we know by the data that they buy. They're more apt to buy, which is the US, Canada, UK, and Australia. Those are going to, unless you're selling a very specific product to a very specific region, those are probably going to be your bigger regions. I'm sorry, Ken, you had a question?
I was just going to say, write that down. It's the US, the UK, Canada, and Australia.
Yeah, those are your big, if you didn't, and I'll be honest with you guys, if you did nothing but, and I recommend this, market to the US first, because that's going to be probably your biggest buying country. I know there are no absolutes, but per the data, that's probably going to be your biggest, and then you can start testing. So I lump them into one ad set here. Now, Europe, since I added the UK to my big 4, I did Europe as a region, excluding the UK. So, because I have a lot of folks in Europe love heavy metal, so especially Germany, Finland, Sweden, all those countries. So, the reason I segregated this, though, guys, is first because I wanted to know. I know the big 4; they're the buying countries, so I assumed that they would be more expensive, So, and in Europe, so if we go back, let me take this back a little bit further for you guys, because I may have made some changes. Let's go back to, let's say, October to the end of the year here. Let's look at that data. So as you can see, all the data here changed, right? So look at this column here where my cursor is. The cost per result for the big four, 65 cents. The cost for Europe, 78 cents. Those are average cost. Now that surprised me because I would think that the big four would be more expensive and Europe wouldn't be as expensive. So, but here we are. The data tells me different. Man, I spent a lot of money those few months, didn't I? $1,000. I could have used that, but I made money. I profited on that, right? So it's one of those things. Once you get your ads going, you want to be making profit, right? So, Ken, do you want me to dig into one of these, the big four, just the details? So let's dig in here real quick. So we go to edit, and this is where you get into the details. So let's go back to starting out. You're targeting the U.S. at first. I won't get into the pixels because Ken, that's getting into some deeper stuff there. That's really probably too much to get into at this point. But you can see there's where I choose my locations. I chose 24 to 65 just to test it. And I don't even remember why I did that, to be honest with you. All genders are on here. I recommend leaving the age just wide open. It just seems, see how that works. Now, here's where you get into your details. So we're targeting locations, but I don't want to target just anybody. The one thing you don't want to do when you're marketing your music or anything is you don't want to assume it's for everybody. Never assume that. What you really want to do is you want to target people. So I'm targeting guitar players. So I'm not marketing my music here. Well, I do market my music in my music funnel. Once I get them in my guitar funnel, hey, by the way, I've got albums. Again, we capitalize on multiple fronts. So here I'm targeting musicians, guitar players specifically. These are all guitar brands you see in this detailed targeting. Okay. Fender, Gibson, yada, yada, all that stuff. Now, the cool thing about Facebook is that I don't want to stop there because I'm not doing country lessons here. So in a lot of country people play Gibson, right? So how do we rectify that? Well, you can add another layer or multiple layers of targeting. So I've got my one interest, right? So and I want you to be thinking about your genre as we go through this. Like think about your music genre, or think about, okay, my music, because I've asked my fans, they say I sound like these artists over here, so we lump them into that. But maybe you want to drill down a little bit further. Maybe your genre is kind of multifaceted, and maybe you've got another list of artists or interest, right? Leah McHenry, our instructor for Savvy Musician Academy, she does Celtic metal. So there are some bands that are kind of like that she lists in her details. However, she drills down further because she has found that the majority of people that like Celtic metal, well, they also love Hobbits and Lord of the Rings and all this cool stuff. So she lists those. So if they like Celtic metal, these bands here, and they like the Hobbits and all this other stuff, she's really drilling into targeting her specific audience. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah. Yep.
So here I've got guitar stuff. I'm a metal guitar player, so I added another layer of Megadeth, Judas Priest, Nightwish. So just a few bands right there. Language important. You want to make sure, because I'm marketing outside the U.S. as well. Make sure U.S. language, especially if you're marketing, into other countries that don't speak English. So that's in a nutshell. That's the ad set there. So Ken, do we want to look at the ad? Or was there questions? Any other questions?
This is going to be a big part of what we're going to do when we come back from break. So I'm going to be, performing some of that data research on one of your sort of niches, and then we're going to kind of look at what this audience looks like for you and how many people your ad can reach and all this kind of stuff. This is a great breakdown so far, Jason, because we all are going to expand on this later. Cool. But yeah, let's take a look at the creative.
Yeah, let's go to you do want to have an ad here. So remember, you got your campaign, then we've got an ad set, which you got the type of campaign you're running. Then you got the ad set, which is that's the people you're targeting. Now you've got the creative for that ad. Okay, so and just real quick, so my ad, I ran that ad for everybody. I just had this ad connected to both, Europe and the big four there. So let's dig into the ad.
Actually, before you get into that real quick, Something that I'm sure people are going to be wondering about is how many people should their ad be reaching? What is a good number for them to think about?
So let's that's a good question, Ken. Let's go back. Let's go back. And I want to show you Europe and Big Four and why I did things a little bit differently for Europe as far as targeting. So US, our Big Four, well, they're huge. They're big markets, right? So um and you'll find as you start narrowing down, and guys, you might not want to go too deep when you're first starting to run a Facebook ad. I don't recommend going deep. Like I did multiple layers here. So, but I've got a very specific product, metal guitar players. So I don't want to just target guitar players or just people that listen to metal, because not everybody listens to metal plays guitar, and vice versa, right? But let's, you've got a specific genre of your music that you're marketing, right? So maybe you just want to list a couple of bands, 3 or 4 bands or artists that are similar to that, and market to the US. You're going to get a big audience. To be honest with you, this changes. The moment you think you have Facebook figured out, it changes. I don't say that to discourage you, because what I'll say on top of that, and Ken, we both live this, is the principles of marketing do not change. Your who, what, when, where, why, that doesn't change. But the way Facebook perceives data, well, that can change. So under audience definition here on the right side, you guys can see here, I've got an estimated 6 million to 7 million and change here that I can reach. I have heard from many other entrepreneurs that you want it to be at least 5 million, but that doesn't mean that you can't test smaller audiences. With a smaller audience, you might have a higher ad cost though, because you are targeting a bit deeper there. So now if this is like 30 million or 40 million, maybe you want to narrow down a little bit, right? Because that ad's going to be going to all kinds of people. So you might want to narrow it down. A good way to narrow it down as a musician is like I was telling you about how Leah did hers. Celtic metal bands she sounds like, and then the things that those folks are interested in. And you guys know your audience better than anyone, right? So if they're into a specific genre, you may want to list some bands in that genre. Of course, that's first and foremost, but think of some other interests. Think of some of the really creative aspects of what you're writing and things your music is related to, and maybe make that part of the details as well. So in other words, you've got to like one of these bands, but you also had to like one of these interests over here too, and that's how you find your preferred customer, because they're more likely to buy and listen and all that good stuff. So that's, Ken, that's kind of all I have on the targeting here.
Great. No, that's absolutely great.
But I'm glad you asked that question, because you don't want to narrow down so much. You got like 300 people. Now, what I want to show you real quick. So that's the Big Four. Europe. Well, so this is much smaller, right? The European countries minus the UK, because the UK is part of my Big Four. And you can eliminate like that. You can even eliminate interest if you want to, right? You might say, well, you like these bands, but if you like this band, then you're not part of the group. So if there's something you don't really like, so already, guys, I'm in the Europe version here already. Look at my estimated audience size, much smaller than the Big Four. Okay, it's not even at 2 million there, so much smaller. And you'll find that once you start targeting different countries, other countries, you'll find that to be true. The audience is much smaller. So I did the same thing though. I still narrowed down the targeting, the musical instruments, the guitars, as well as a few metal bands. And of course I picked bands, like Nightwish, because they're popular in Europe. And if I wanted to expand this audience, I would pick another few European bands, Sonata Arctica, Amon Amarth, some of the bands that are in that region, those regions there. So that's just something to be aware of. Do look at your audience size. Facebook will actually tell you on this right panel over here if they think your audience is too small. Ken and I have fought with Facebook. We're like, no, it's not too small. Again, this goes back to data. Look at what the platform's telling you to do. And I'd always just base the decisions based on the data and based on what it's telling you to do. Because believe it or not, guys, Facebook wants you to succeed, because if you don't succeed, you're not going to spend money on the ads, right? If you do succeed, you're going to spend more money. Because if you can spend $100 a day, but you made 300, well, that's a huge profit. You're probably going to keep doing that. Not only that, you're probably going to increase that budget, right? So don't ever think that the platform's against you. Just unemotionally look at the data and base your decisions off that. We
Let's
can
check
check
out that
out.
ad, the creative side of all of this
Cool.
and what we're looking for. Because this is the last part of
This is the
making
last
it.
part. Yep, this is it. This is the last part of making it here. Um, and again, guys, I am running an ad to give something away, which sounds ridiculous, right? But keep in mind is once they get to my free giveaway page, let me just cover this very briefly here. Once they get to my free giveaway page and they click, okay, yes, I want the guide, I take them to a thank you page. Thank you. I've got a little video. Hey, thank you. You're going to get an email. I tell them exactly what's going to happen. That email is going to have a link to your guide, okay, to your free guide. That's coming in about 5 minutes. While you're waiting, you might want to check out what I have for you below. That's you can make sales off the thank you page, and it's a really the percentage is low, but hey, why not? It's a low hanging fruit. Why not have it there, right? So let's say they don't buy anything there, they're still going to get the email for the free guide, which in that email I send them, here's a link to your free guide. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for being a part of my community. P.S. I also have paid courses if you'd like to get, if you'd like to take it a step further. So there we go. First email. And then, Ken, I know you'll go through the email process with everyone at some point, but then you have tags in your email to where if they don't purchase, you can continue. You don't want to spam them to death, but you can continue to send emails, just giving some tips, helpful tips that will give value, and then pitch your product. And maybe you give 3 or 4 tips that give value, 3 or 4 emails, and then you just straight up pitch your product at that point, and you can, there's a lot of different things you can do with that. So again, I'm paying to give away a free guide, which doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Like, why are you paying somebody to give something away? It doesn't make sense, but it's because now I've got you in my email funnel and I can continue to market to you as long as you stay in my email. So that is a really good tactic. Whereas if I were to run an ad on the direct product, and I'm not saying don't do that, but you have to understand that when you're running ads, you're running this to a cold audience. These people don't know who you are. Okay. So if you're giving something away, like a free song, hey, you get a free download. And I even have a little ebook for you to tell the story about the song, right? So you give that away. And if people love it, well, they're going to want to go buy the CD, the album, the merch that you have, right? So they're going to want to get more involved and engaged with you. So I just want to bring that point up real quick. Here's my creative though. So let's go. I haven't been on this platform since January. This is odd. You can place this in feeds. You can place it desktop, mobile, all that good stuff. I just let Facebook figure it out. What I do is a square video. If your audience, if your audience is more of the story type, you can create story ads as well. I like to give a little bit more context in my ads as to what they're getting and why it's going to help them. Ken, do you want to see this ad, or do you want to go that deep?
Absolutely. I actually want to ask you a question because you said you have a square video, and why do you have a square video and not a rectangle?
So we do live in the scroll generation. This is the theory behind square, and also just the longer videos in general is they have to scroll longer. It takes up more of your phone, so they see more of you. Whereas if it's a horizontal video, which I like those videos, but again, the data says they don't like that as much. So I had to listen to that. The horizontal video is just a little bit, right? So they can scroll past that a lot faster. They can scroll the other longer videos here. So that's one reason. Another reason is because it's going to show up on more platforms. If I did a horizontal video, it's not going to look good on certain, like for reels and that sort of thing. So actually the next ad I might be just the straight up vertical, not even the square.
Excellent. Yeah, let's check out the video and show
Okay.
what is it like to create an ad and using video content.
And this is pretty short. I don't, will you be able to hear the video?
At least so.
Let's see. Let me know.
Okay, so I
Can
think
you hear that or no?
not just yet. I think you probably have to go to the floating options and hit the the three buttons on your thing and share computer sound.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, share computer sound. Okay, cool. There we go. Are you serious? You want a password? I don't even know what my password is for this. We're gonna find out.
I think that's just your computer password.
I think so too. And I think I typed in the wrong one. Let's try again. Oh, won't turn it up so loud because I don't know how loud this is going to be. It's a little jam. It's a short video, guys. It's under a minute long, which most ads you don't really want over that. So.
As a metal guitar player, you and I both want just one thing, and that's simply to get better at doing what we love to do the most, and that's playing metal guitar. That's why I created this free practice guide for you called Metal Riffs and Licks. In fact, at any point in this video, you can just click below and get your copy. I'll send that to you right away. But real quick, my name is Jason Stallworth. You might know me from my YouTube channel. I've been helping metal guitar players just like yourself on YouTube since 2010. And I created this free practice guide, number one, to help folks just get down a consistent practice schedule, and number two, to practice the types and styles of music that we love the most. Click below, get your copy of Metal Riffs and Licks, and I will see you very soon. Until then, keep it metal.
So that's it, guys. There's a very short ad. And you can kind of, if you go back and listen to that, you can kind of sense there's a formula behind it, right? I don't just come out saying, hey, I've got a free guide for you, because honestly, nobody cares at that, like, okay, whatever, so they'll keep scrolling. But I call them out on maybe a problem, maybe agitating that a little bit. You want to get better as a guitar player, right? So, and then we quickly present the solution to them. And then I tell them in an ad like this, because it's free, I'm like, hey, if you don't want to listen to the whole ad, you don't have to. If you want to get started at any point, just click below. You can get it. I'll send it to you right away. And if you want to keep listening, I then give some sort of authority to them. I've been on YouTube since 2010. This has helped thousands of guitar players and so forth, and then continue on from there and how this can help you. If you make it about them, and you do want to give that brief authority, but if you make it about them, the more you make it about them, the more they're going to love it, because that's what people, we all like. Yeah, I want it to be about me. If you're pitching an ad to me and you're just telling me about you or how cool your music is, I don't really care about that. What's in it for me? You know what I mean? So and this is where you have to get kind of creative with music. And this is where drilling down to the interest of your audience and really knowing who your people are, and really bringing them in and making them feel like they are part of something bigger. It's not just your music. It's this thing that they're part of. It's this desire that's been boiling up, and your music and what you're saying to them is resonating with them. That's a powerful thing. So just remember that. I know, see, I'm pitching a specific product here. Not even, it's a free guide to solve a problem, to help metal guitar players get a consistent practice schedule and come up with some new ideas. Then I'm going to pitch my courses. With music, it's a little different, right? So you have to be a little bit more creative. You can't just say, hey, I just dropped a new track. Nobody cares. So just think of what your audience really wants. What's the language? What's going to resonate with them? Why should they listen to your music? Why should they give you a chance, right? So you have to think of these things and show them how it's going to benefit them, how much they're going to love this, how much your song is going to change their life. Sometimes a story about the lyrics can work wonders. So any questions about that, about the ads?
Any thoughts or comments, or did you did you guys actually notice all the points of ADA that were in that video? What was the attention thing? The guitar playing, right?
Well, yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, in some cases you want to show proof, right? You want to show, because if I just get on there talking, hey, I'm going to help you, but they've never heard me play. It's like, okay, here you, dude. You're some old bald guy,
right? Right. You want to create something that's shocking, right? In the momentary, like, oh wow, this guy's got some talent, right? So then you started to talk about what was the interest. Actually, let me ask you guys, what was the interest part of that video?
It sounded genuine.
Ooh, genuine. Good. That's a good one. Genuine really comes across really well in marketing, right? It makes you feel what? Trustworthy, right? And then that starts to really come into, okay, I'm interested. And he starts to talk about the pain points, right? We're all guitarists, right? What's the desire that he's creating?
Be better.
Be better, and how? Create schedules to get better at their craft, right? And then what's the action? Click the link, okay? Little hints and all of that, right? But you can break it down and see almost every single marketing tactic uses ADA. Super powerful. Jason, this is amazing. Now, do we have any, Jason, I think this is a big part of just kind of what we were hoping to accomplish today. So thank you so much. Do we have any like last maybe few comments or questions, maybe personally for Jason, or anything about YouTube, Facebook, Aaron?
Well, in regards to like putting out an ad for like a new music video, like how do you implement like those things to grab the interest of like the audience in that way? Like
So
you did it in a way where it's like I'm gonna give you value, I'm gonna teach you something, but how do you do it in an entertainment way?
that's where it gets a little bit, I don't want to say tricky, that's the wrong term, but you do have to be creative with that. And I think what I harp on the most, because I did the same for my album Masterpiece when it came out. That was my last album, 2019, and I'm working on one now, which I'm going to be running some really hardcore campaigns on. That's where you get down to, see this title here, get metal riffs and licks free, right? So, and you can also in these ads have some text in there as well. So let me go back up here. Apologize. This is trying to figure out where this is. Scrolling up.
Oh, you talking about the description?
Yeah, the description of the ad. You can have some stuff in there, but
down.
Yeah, down a little bit more. It's down
There.
here. Okay, so this is, I'll just highlight this, the primary text, and it kind of reiterates what I said in the video, just a lot shorter. Metal Riffs and Licks has helped thousands of metal guitar players like you, right? That community, building that community, get it now free and go to this website. So you could say, like one of the ads I ran for my music, or for my last album, was, if you like Amon Amarth and Megadeth, you will absolutely love Masterpiece. And those are two kind of different, you got thrash metal, you got death metal. So kind of two different genres that I sort of combine into one. You could also make this a story. Now, lyric videos are awesome too. So I don't know if your music is just instrumental or if you have lyrics to it, letting them know not just that it's a lyric video, but what is the video about in the sense of how will they relate to it? So what is your genre, if I might ask?
Hip hop.
Hip hop. Okay. What are a couple of what's the theme of your song that you're wanting to, a specific song that you're doing a video for?
I don't have one in particular, but I guess I usually make music that's like more emotional, like emo kind of stuff.
Okay. What's a problem or two that you feel like people that listen to emo, what's something that they can resonate with, or maybe a problem they have or something they struggle with?
Definitely like mental health, like depression kind of stuff.
So there's your target, man. There's your headline. That would be the headline for this song. And you would want some imagery as kind of a thumbnail, because when you're scrolling past before they click on the video, you would want to make sure you've got that type of imagery, in that video as well. But your headline for that, I mean, there's so much you can do with that. Music to cure depression, hip hop to cure depression, something, you don't have to take those exact words, but just something along the lines of that, because it sounds like to me you're very passionate about of course, about your music, obviously, but about also your music, maybe even being like a healing property, right, towards your listeners. So you want to convey it that way, right? You wouldn't want to say, well, I've got this new hip hop track, check it out. You're right. You would want to, how is this going to benefit the listener? So you want to think about those emotions. You want to stir that emotion, because music is extremely emotional. So you want to stir that up in them with the headlines and with some of the text, because people will read that. Now, if it's an ad, like if it's one of the ads, so you're wanting to get people to go watch the video. Is that the goal, or you want to use your video as an ad?
Well, to watch the video, and then I guess once they're on the YouTube to stream it or like download it.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so you could run like a short version of the video as an ad. You maybe don't want to run the entire thing as an ad. Well, you can. There's two ways you can do this. You could run a very short version of the video, and maybe as the music's playing, have some text as well. Just really driving that emotion, man. Just really driving the emotional impact, maybe that they're feeling, and how what you're doing can help. How this music can soothe. Right, how this can help them through those times. And then, by the way, check out the entire video here at the end of that ad, and have that call to action, right? So like I have the call to action down here on mine: get metal riffs and licks free. You could have something like healing hip hop, check out the full video here, something to that effect. So they would be more inclined to, because they see how it's helping them. They see how that's going to resonate, and then they'll go watch your video. Now you could also test, the biggest thing you can do on Facebook is test your ads, and it does cost money. Make sure you have some sort of budget for that to test, just only to get the data and see what's working and what's not. Because you can spend a lot of money on stuff that doesn't work. Trust me, I have. But you could also test the actual music video on Facebook as an ad as well, with the call to action to go download it somewhere. You could test that as well.
Gotcha. Amazing. That's a great question. Anybody else before we end our session for today? All right. Well, Jason, this was amazing. You are a superstar for showing everything that you have today. Guys, this is just been an awesome pleasure for me as well. Jason's a very, very close friend of mine, and you guys were an awesome audience today. So, Jason,
it's an honor to be here too, guys. A pleasure to meet each and every one of you. I wish all of you guys the absolute utmost success, and don't give up. Whatever you do, keep pushing. You're in here, you're learning this stuff, so keep pushing no matter what. You've already made a decision in your mind, and that's really where it starts and where it ends. It's up there. So just make the decision. This is what you're doing with your life, and you will push through. I promise you that. So it was an honor, pleasure to be here, guys. So thank you for having me.
all right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Yes.
All right.
I really hope you found this session helpful. I want to give a big thank you to Ken Candelas and the SAE Institute for allowing me to come in and talk to the students here, and a huge shout out to all the students that you saw in class here. These folks are just like you. They're pushing everything to the next level, and if you're still watching this video, I'm assuming you're in that boat too. You really want to take your music to that next level and do something great with it. We are here to help you do that. Now, speaking of education, you guys may know this already, but those who don't, we do have courses on metalmastermind.com. So just go to the link in the description of this YouTube video. We've got everything from guitar courses to mixing metal courses to music theory to vocal to metal songwriting and more. So there's a link again in the description of this video. And guys, drop us any questions that you may have from this session here. Remember, you can always go back and watch this again. I hope that you took some notes. If you didn't, hey, go back, take some notes, and drop those questions in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, as always, until the next video, create your own sound.